Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Monday's Newcastle United Morning News. My name's Paul. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. As usual, if you do enjoy the show, give it the thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel and you aren't subscribed, please do. It is a fantastic community on here. Hit the notification bell as well so you never miss an upload or any live shows. Obviously, do the same if you're watching this on a rerun. You can support the channel in the usual two ways during the live show. First of all is via membership. That's the join button underneath me. And, of course, super chats are available. That's a $ underneath the live chat. And that will guarantee your comment to be read out live on the show. And, of course, massive thank you to channel sponsor, Mamaroo Records, based in Whitley Bay for all your music needs, your vinyl, CDs, music merch, sporting merch. And they do gift cards as well. They are based right in the middle of Whitley Bay. If you can't get in to see them, check them out online. That is pinned at the top of the description. Right. Well, as usual, Newcastle United very much in the news early this morning. The main issue, I think, confirming Miggy's departure. He is set to leave. There's a verbal agreement in place now. It's all the loose ends seem to have been tied up, and we can expect Newcastle to make an announcement very soon. Fabrizio Romano tweeting out, "Here we go," which normally means he has had confirmation that the deal is done and Miggy will be leaving the club. Now, look, whatever we think of Miggy, and I said this on numerous shows that we've already done, I do wish him very well. I don't think he's good enough to take Newcastle to where they need to be. I think that's pretty clear. I think everybody would agree with me on that. But he's gave years of service to Newcastle United, and that is something that he should be very proud of as an individual. And moving forward, I really wish him well for the rest of his career, because I think he's done his best. And his best sometimes during purple patches has certainly been good enough. Others it hasn't. Ricky says, great way to split the day up. Love the morning shows again, Paul. Keep up the work. Great work coming, mate. Thank you. Much appreciated. James Pope says, Miggy has done his best for us. Can't fault him. Julie says, thanks, Miggy, for the purple patch and the wonderful goals. Can't say he hasn't given everything for us. Wish him all the best. Yeah, look, there's no malice in this. And I think, when you read about people online posting a load of crap and abusing him and his family online, we've seen it with Michael Oliver as well, which we'll come on to in this morning's show. I just think it's damn disgraceful when you turn it personal. And we've said this a long time, because players in the past have had it. Joe Linton had it when he wasn't going through a good spell. Look, the fact is, we as fans, we can look at a player's performances and we can criticize, and we can say whether they played shit or not, or whether we think as fans they're good enough to take the club forward. If they're not, we'll see it. But it never gets to the point where you turn it personal and you turn it against that player's family. I think it's absolutely disgusting. Miggy has done his very best for us. He's done some good things for us, but it's a time now where he has to go. He just isn't good enough to take the club to the next level. Now, that's not to say that he can't go and play for Atlanta. I think it's a 4-year contract he's going to get there, which is a really good contract for him. Back to where he's familiar with. Friends live there. It's a real opportunity for him to finish his career in style. And good luck to him. I've got no problems with Miggy at all. But yes, his purple patch, it came at a very good time for us, which we really needed. And he scored some very important goals. Paris Saint-Germain, in the Champions League, that was a cracker. But then you think of the Champions League and you're drawn back to that miss against Milan, where it was a simple right foot goal. And he tried to let it come across onto his left. And of course, he was tackled by then. No, Ryan, there's nothing official from the club yet about Miggy, but it is done. Romano is pretty good with these things. I know he had that little hiccup with the Brighton strike at that time, but listen, Romano knows what he's doing, and he wouldn't tweet that out if it wasn't confirmed. I think we all knew anyway. Judging by Miggy's response at the end of the Southampton game, when Eddie Howe pushed him to the front to get the applause from the supporters. We're not stupid. And kissing the badge and thanking the fans. it's clear. It's clear that it's pretty much done and dusted. Kev says, as a footballer, we know he's done, but we'll never forget him. Keeps fighting with a smile through Rafa and Bruce. We always wanted a team that tried, and Miggy did that. I mean, yeah, let's not forget, Miggy was with us through the whole Bruce era. It was a nightmare time, but Miggy didn't give up. You know, and I suppose you're right, Kev. We do have to look at that in a more positive manner. He had a decent hand in our Champions League promotion season too, but not at it. Now we need better. Finally watching a live and not a repeat. Love the lives when I catch them. Night shift sucks. Yes, it does. Massively. I feel for anybody having to do night shift. And I tip my hat to everybody who does night shift. Jordan says, got 30 minutes before I got to leave for a visit. So glad to catch a live show. Joel says, I love Miggy. Everyone who played a big part in the 22-23 season is a lifelong club legend, in my opinion. Well, let's be fair to Miggy. You know, he's been through some torrid times at Newcastle, some real torrid times, to the point where, you know, we were threatened with relegation. He had to play under Steve Bruce, where, to be honest, he was being played all over the place, but he got us some vital goals. And then, obviously, Eddie Howe's come in. Eddie was a big believer in Miggy, and he played a big part in keeping us up and getting into the Champions League. You know, there's no doubt, nobody can argue with that, whether we think he's a good enough footballer or not. You know, I think us being Geordies, we're very kind to these players, apart from the knobheads online who seem to think they can speak to everybody like a piece of shit. You know, the general consensus is from the supporters, thank you, Miggy, and good luck. And absolutely the same from me. I've hammered him for performances, but that's what I guess I'm here to do. As a fan channel, we're here to criticize or praise. And there's no doubt, Miggy, nobody can ever say that he didn't try, because he certainly did. But yeah, I'm really, I'm pleased he's got his move. I'm pleased he's going back to familiar surroundings. And he's loved in Atlanta. We saw that when we played in friendlies there. He's absolutely adored. So for me, it's very, very much good luck, Miggy, and thank you. And now it's time to move on, because, you know, we do desperately now need another right winger once Miggy's officially gone. And, you know, whether the club are looking at this or not, I'm not sure. I just don't know. And that's alarm bells ringing in I guess, one half of my head, and the other half saying, look, don't panic. They know what they're doing. But I suppose a lot of supporters will now feel that someone has got to come in. And I think we can't rely on just Jacob Murphy on that right-hand side. And we can't rely on, you know, Gordon playing there if something happens to Murphy once Barnes is fit again. You know, it doesn't work. We've seen Anthony try on the right. It doesn't work. We weren't playing well. And Gordon is now in a settled position on that left-hand side. Jacob Murphy is doing fantastically well. Don't get me wrong. And I'm a big, big fan of Jacob Murphy and love what he's doing right now. But we know as fans, again, that we need an elite player on that side. An elite player to go alongside Isak and Gordon and have an absolute elite front three. But then you've got Jacob Murphy to step in if anything happens on that right-hand side. That's fantastic. And I think Jacob Murphy would probably accept that anyway. He realizes what his potential can take him to. All he can do at the moment is do what he's doing. And that's providing Isak with goals. Jacob Murphy scoring himself. He's getting involved massively in games where sometimes in the past we've had a couple of good games from him and then he's gone a little off form, hasn't he? But he's keeping this consistent run going this time. So, but we desperately need somebody to come in. I would hope, as Simon says there, it's usually one in, one out, or one out, one in. So I would presume that. Now, I've said all along through this transfer window that I think Newcastle will sign someone. I'm pretty confident they will. And I know Eddie Howe sort of is very coy in his press conferences, and he sort of pushes it to the side. He doesn't want to get too involved in transfers, and that's fair enough. You know, I don't have a problem with Eddie Howe doing that. I think, you know, if he stays away from transfers, lets Mitchell, etc., deal with the main side of that. I'm sure Eddie's aware if we are going for anybody or we do have a list. I'm pretty sure we do. And I think we've got to have somebody to come in now and play on that right-hand side. Apparently, it's around about 9 million, I think, we're getting for Miggy. It's most of the reports are saying it's in euros. So it's round about 9 million, I think. But Nathan, possibly a loan, very possibly. For me, I'd like to see us go for a permanent deal because I want to settle side. I don't necessarily think I'm against getting any loans in, but what I'm saying is, when we're looking for that elite front three, we want an elite front three for, next season, the season after, and keep it going. That's what I'd love to see at Newcastle United, rather than just somebody coming in on loan and then the question at the end of the season, is he going to sign permanently? Is he not going to sign permanently? You've got all that to think about. And at times, I know it's strange when we get a loan player in and we think, oh, is he really committed? I mean, we've seen it before. Players come in on loan. Lewis Hall, Matt Target, did very well for us. Nathan says, Paul, do you think Mbeumo is staying Brentford until the end of the season? I don't know. And certainly, I guess Brentford are in a position where they're desperate to keep him because they're doing well this season. And, if Brentford were down struggling and battling against relegation, then I would say that Bryan Mbeumo would look at it and say, if Newcastle United are interested or an other team near the top of the Premier League, he would be very interested. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But where Brentford are right now, they'll probably want to hang on to until at least the end of the season. But I've read a report this morning. I'm not going to go through it, though, because I find it astounding that apparently we're looking at 3 Brentford players in this winter window, which to me is just clickbait poppycock, because we already know getting 3 players in is nigh on impossible for us in this window. So I wouldn't pay any attention to that. But Mbeumo is certainly one that has been targeted by Newcastle United. And is he a player that could come in and do the job? Absolutely he is. And I'll tell you why he is, because not only can he play on the right, but he can play up front should anything happen. Now, it looks like, as we do this show right now, that Callum Wilson will stay at Newcastle United in this window. So he's going to be with us till the end of the season. He's due back, Eddie said, round about the start of February, which is this weekend. So whether he starts, whether he comes back into the squad for this weekend's game against Fulham, or it's the Carabao Cup, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see on that. I don't have great hope for Callum Wilson, which is why somebody like Mbeumo coming into the side for me would be a fantastic signing, because he can play both those positions. YL Horson, welcome to Membership Club. I hope I've said that right. Welcome to the member club, matey, and thank you for your ongoing support. That's very kind. So Mbeumo for me is a perfect sign. I think we've all said at one time or another, certainly on this channel, that Mbeumo would be a hell of a signing. There's another one at Bournemouth, Semenyo, who ripped us a new one last week. Of course, it's at James's Park, playing on the left when he's notoriously a right winger, but he moved to the left and was absolutely outstanding. So he would be a brilliant signing, but I'm not sure Bournemouth will let him go, and I'm not sure he'd want to leave Bournemouth right now, because they are absolutely flying. They are playing some of the best football I think they've ever seen down on the South Coast, even under Eddie Howe in the promotion years. They cannot believe where they are right now as such a small club, and that's no disrespect to them. Obviously, I'm talking about sort of stadium sides and things like that. Where they are right now is an incredible achievement. So whether Semenyo would want to leave, I don't think he would right now. And that's possibly another one at the end of the season. But you've got to think of the money as well. You've got to think of the money that maybe Semenyo would be. Would he be more now than Mbeumo? Because Mbeumo had a fantastic start of the season and everyone was talking about millions and millions of pounds for Bryan Mbeumo. But Semenyo was never mentioned. Semenyo was never mentioned once. And now he's playing absolutely superb. Justin Clivett, as well, as Ash says there, he's turning into a fantastic player as well. He seems to be now under the manager at Bournemouth. He's more about playing football than he is about, niggly stuff. Although he did both at Newcastle and did it very, very well. But it's going to be difficult to get anybody, though. It really is. Unless the work the financial package out really well, it's going to be difficult. Agent Texas, Callum going as a free then, or do we give him a contract just to sell, Paul? I think he'll go as a free. I did read somewhere a couple of weeks ago, I think it was just after Christmas, that if he did stay, Newcastle would allow him to leave on a free. Look, we're not going to get much for Wilson anyway. I think we all know that. You know, what team is going to pay a lot of money for Callum Wilson, given the football he's played in the last 18 months? Not many at all. In fact, you look back at his last few years with Newcastle and think, yeah, who's going to pay a lot for him? Not many. A free transfer would work out for Callum, absolutely. But I'm not sure that it would be one of the top sides in the Premier League that would look at Callum Wilson, because top sides need reliability. Do I see him staying in the Premier League? Possibly. He might look overseas. He might fancy a jaunt overseas, maybe just to for the back end of his career, just to see what it's like. You know, it's possible. Jamie says, good morning, Paul. Greetings from the Cayman Islands. Keep up the good work. Thank you, mate. Nobody will buy Wilson, says Kev. Might as well just let him leave and get him off the wages at this point. I agree with that. I think that's what Newcastle United have decided anyway. The time is now just to let him go. There is other players, though, on the radar, very much so for the summer. I've got no doubt about that. And if you read sort of the financial experts around the UK talking about PSR and Newcastle United, it seems like Newcastle United are really looking to the 2025 summer window in order to maybe bring 3 or 4 in and really transform the squad itself. Now, whether they do that or not, you know, we were led to believe that it would be this winter, and it certainly hasn't worked out in this winter window so far. Even though there's a week left, the transfer window shuts 7 days today. Don't forget, we got our deadline day special where we go live from 11 a.m. all the way through to 11 p.m. It's a 12-hour stream we're doing for charity, raising money for 4 very special charities close to our heart. Like I said the other day, we had a target in the summer of hitting 5,000. We just fell short. So we're going for it again next Monday to try and raise £5,000 for charity. 12-hour all-day stream. So we hope you can join us for as much as you can of that. Very much looking forward to it. Well, I don't think my backside is, given how numb it gets after sitting in a chair for 12 hours. Nathan says, Paul, do you have backup plan for another co-host if Billy's not available for deadline day? No replacements. We will be having guests on, of course, on deadline day. Absolutely. You know, we've got Evermore. We've got Chris from Evermore coming on at some point. I'm going to be contacting various people this week to see if they can give us a time slot to come on. We normally have a few guests and things like that talking about Newcastle United transfers and such like throughout the day. So we will be doing that again. But certainly no co-host planned to replace Billy. I think Alex has got the day off anyway, so Alex will be there. Lady Sam's got some meetings, I think, on the morning, but then should be with us for the rest of the time. So it's going to be fantastic. Keith Downey says the 8 million rising to 11 with Miggy. I think that's a really good deal. I really do. To get £11 million in the end for Miggy, I think it's an absolutely fantastic bit of business. Kevin says, will we see more of you singing, Paul? Well, no, and I'll tell you why that is, because every song that I put on the last deadline day, I got copyrighted for. So I had to spend the next day literally going through those songs one by one, trimming them out of the show. So that because if you get any sort of copyright, that you don't get any of the you get the super chats, but you don't get the ad revenue. And literally everything we make on deadline day, including the ad revenue, goes to charity. So I had to basically just take everything out, and it took forever. We're doing loads of stuff, don't get me wrong, whether it's just, you know, sitting here having a good laugh or whatever, but we you know, it's going to be a great day. It always is on deadline day. So we'll certainly have fun with that. But you know what it is, you're right, Kev, there's always someone out there to spoil the fun. It amazes me sometimes, these copyright things, you know, when all you're doing is basically singing a song, looking at the words on a screen, singing a song, but it's all about money, mate. People want so much money for, you know, even if you sing one of their songs, it has to, the ad revenue has to go to that particular person. Even though I tried to explain, and YouTube knew that it was a charity, it still didn't matter. It's got to go to them, which is ridiculous. Connor says, yeah, I think that's great, Paul. And how is Billy? Hope he gets well soon. Same as usual. I'm going to try and give him a bell this afternoon and see how he's getting on. I know Alex has been to see him as well, so in hospital. So he's in good spirits, and that's the main thing. Andrew says, Paul, singing the style of the nightclub singer. I don't think Vic Reeves would mind. Yeah, that would be good. Toon Doc says, I think we desperately need a fresh face for right winger attacking midfield to lift the team and help us push on for a very special run-in. Even a loan to buy, just something. 3 windows with nothing big is poor, PSR or not. I agree, and I still will be very, very angry if we don't bring anybody in. In fact, I'll be very pissed off. And I think every fan will be pissed off if we don't bring anybody in, to be honest. And we have a right as fans to be pissed off that there'll be 3 windows without, a big signing. And I think that needs addressing, in my opinion. It's got to be addressed. But I don't think they'll take the risk of going with just Murphy for the rest of the season. Surely to God they can't. You look at the games in February that we have, guys, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. We need replacements and quality replacements, not dross coming off the bench. We need quality to replace quality, and that's what everybody looks for in a side. Now, one player that is heavily linked with Newcastle United this morning is Besiktas forward Kilicsoy, Semih Kiliscoy. Now, he's linked heavily for £16 million with Newcastle this morning. And Newcastle keen to add depth. They mentioned that Miggy's leaving. So it's very important that they look for another forward player. Now, Kilicsoy is a good player. There's no doubt about that. Now, Aston Villa and Sunderland are apparently interested in this guy. So I think you can rule Sunderland out if Villa and Newcastle come in. No disrespect to our good friends down the road. But anyway, I really do think that, if we bring him in, it's a statement signing, definitely. I think he's a great player. He's a good goal scorer. However, his output has declined this season, and he's managed to hit the back of the net just twice in 29 appearances. Now, before that, he hit 12 goals in 35 outings. Now, this guy's he's still a kid, right? He's still young. So don't judge him just on what he's doing at the moment, because I think he could come to the Premier League and really do something special. His Super League stats for the 24-25 season, he's had 18 appearances, 959 minutes played. He's got 1 goal and 2 assists with nearly 2 shots per 90. That's not too bad. He's only 19, guys, like I say. So plenty of time to develop, plenty of time to work with the manager and the coaching staff. But is this another question of, is he ready now in case we need him? Because that's been the concern through a lot of Newcastle United fans over time. And certainly again now, that it's a concern that we don't bring anybody in who is ready to go. And this is where the likes of Mbeumo, for me, would be a better alternative. Yes, Mbeumo is going to cost a hell of a lot more money than what this guy is. It's 16 to 19 million. That's what's been banded around for him. But at the minute, I think it's a big worry that we don't bring. He's got no Premier League experience. Last year, Tottenham were after him, but that fell through. And he's probably thanking his lucky stars that fell through now. But look, if we get Lloyd Kelly out as well and make a bit of money on Lloyd Kelly, that Juventus link is still kicking around this morning. There's still a lot being said about Lloyd Kelly and the possibility of moving on. Now, that's wages off the books, and we could get a bit of a transfer fee. If we get a Newcastle apparently, it depends who you read your reports from, as to how much that transfer fee would be to Juventus. Some people are saying 15, some people are saying all the way to 30. They'll never get £30 million in a million years for Lloyd Kelly. And I think that's a real stretch. But whatever we get for him is a bonus, because we paid nothing for him. And it's a lot of wages off the books as well. Now, Newcastle apparently could look like front runners for the moment. However, an additional striker could provide improved cover behind the informed Isak amid the injury to Callum Wilson. So there's still a lot of doubt about Callum Wilson. Still a lot. And I don't see... I don't know any Newcastle United fan right now who would be confident in Callum coming back and scoring goals. I mean, Newcastle World have put this kid as a wonder kid. Even though his goal scoring hasn't been great this season, they have quoted him as a wonder kid. 19-year-old has already been capped 4 times for Turkey and is quickly becoming one of Europe's brightest prospects. He had a breakout year last season with Besiktas, but he has struggled this season. But that hasn't stopped teams from being attracted to signing him. Now, look, he's playing the number 9 shirt for Besiktas. He had a brilliant season last year. Besiktas have put a lot of faith in him this year. And at only 19 years of age, that's a lot of pressure for a kid. Let's be honest. We've seen 19-year-olds, I mean, the Turkish Super League is intense, guys. I mean, we've seen some, the rivalries in that league are intense. And it is a very, very physical, passionate league. Would he do a job? I mean, Turkish media are now claiming that the Magpies have ramped up efforts to sign him before the February 4th deadline. Of course, it is the 4th in Turkey, not the 3rd. It's the 3rd here. Any formal approach would likely come once Miggy Almiron's sale to Atlanta is finalized. So, again, they're talking about Miggy making sure that, 1 in, 1 out. And I think that is exactly what is going to happen. Miggy it should all be tied up within, hopefully, this afternoon. If everything is verbally agreed, then it's just signing the deal, isn't it? And processing it, and that's it. And then I think it's important for Newcastle that they move on quickly. There's only a week left in the transfer window. They have to move on quickly. They have to, if we're going to move on at all and replace him, because who do you believe? Do you believe anybody at the moment who says that we won't be signing anybody else? Or do you think that's just to put people off and let Newcastle United do the work behind the scenes? Jake, look, I've seen Arda Güler mentioned many times in the chat this morning on loan. He was actually linked with us, I think, late November, beginning of December. We covered him on a transfer show in the build-up to this window because it was thought that Mitchell was in talks with Real Madrid about bringing Güler in because he wasn't getting the first team games that he wanted this season. I think that would be an incredible signing. Absolutely incredible signing. He is a wonder. I mean, you talk about wonder kids. Arda Güler is no doubt a wonder kid. Apparently, Kilicsoy's agent is working tirelessly to find his client a move, and Newcastle, as I say, must stump up around 16 million. And of course, he would be the second Turkish player to ever play for Newcastle after Emre. And he wasn't a bad little player, was he? He had some talent. However, rival interest, I mean, Newcastle World are mentioning Chelsea in this. Funny enough, guys, Chelsea. I mean, isn't that a surprise to everybody? I went a bit to Sean Connery there. Isn't that a surprise to everybody that Chelsea are linked with somebody that we are? Never. I mean, I know we see Todd Bowley a lot in our transfer show chat. He's always there. So you never know how much he's trying to steal off us. Newcastle were apparently very miffed that they didn't manage to get the Kusanov deal done. Of course, he recently signed for Manchester City, made his debut at the weekend. But that was apparently down to PSR restrictions, which, we know that Newcastle are trying to work under. Eddie Howe accepted in the media last week that Newcastle may need to wait until the summer to welcome in Cummins. He said, nothing has changed in terms of the window and my previous comments this month. You never say never. So I'm not saying that, but in this moment, as we stand, we've not been active in terms of incomes. Now, that's what he said in his last press conference. But he said, never say never. And I think the fact that he said that has sort of pricked everybody's ears up and thought, oh, yeah, absolutely fantastic. He's saying never say never. Normally, he turns around and says, there's no chance of anything. It's very, very quiet on the Western Front. But things are a little bit different at the moment. Very different. Now, what I do want to talk about this morning as well is the situation with Michael Oliver, because a lot more is developing on that this morning. Of course, Michael Oliver sent off Lewis Skelly, is it, on on Saturday, which for me was a red card. I mean, if you look at the incident, Michael Oliver is like 4 or 5 yards away from where it happened. And Skelly goes in for the tackle with his side of his foot like that, all the way down the side of the player's leg. Well, calf anyway. It was a clear sending off. Stood showing it was a dangerous tackle, and I think rightly sent off. VAR then look at it. They don't overturn it because they know it's a red card. Now, Arsenal fans, again, have acted in a disgraceful way. Because obviously, you know, and I tweeted this out last night, the PGMOL had to issue a statement regarding the abuse that Michael Oliver had received and his family. And this is what I was getting to at the beginning of the show when I was talking about the fact that Miggy had received the same sort of crap from so-called fans on social media, abusing him and telling him to get out the club and his family as well. Now, Michael Oliver's received the same. It doesn't state Arsenal fans, but let's be fair, who else is going to do it? Because Michael Oliver sent off the Arsenal player on Saturday. He now misses the second leg of the Carabao Cup. And Arsenal are, of course, linking the fact that Michael Oliver is a Newcastle fan to the second leg of the Carabao Cup, saying that he's deliberately done it so Arsenal are weakened yet again, already 2-0 down from the first leg. And, of course, they are weakened. It's absolute bullshit, right? And I don't know where these fans get their ideas from that it's right to abuse anybody like that online. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had my fair share of trolls online, and they've said some awful things about me and tried to accuse me of awful stuff and things like that, which is just being laughed off now, and it's water off a duck's back with me. I don't pay any attention to the trolls anymore. But this is actually threatening somebody's family. I mean, where do they draw the line on this? It's ridiculous. You know, death threats and having to involve the police because of a game of football. I mean, it's bordering on insanity now. And we're seeing more and more of this creeping into the game. We, you know, obviously online, you know, since the internet's come around, it has been a lot easier to abuse and bully people online and get away with it. And it just keeps on going and going and going. But these Arsenal fans that just seem to have a right to do anything they want and speak to anybody they want in a manner that they find right. And to just because he sends off an Arsenal player and he's a Newcastle fan, to say he's done it deliberately is insane. Michael Oliver, whatever anybody thinks of referees or whatever everybody thinks of Michael Oliver, they do not, and he certainly did not think, oh, there's a tackle, I'll send him off to make sure he's suspended for the second leg. No way would Michael Oliver be thinking that. But these Arsenal fans have turned into I don't know what the word is, to be honest. I can't think of a word that I can describe them. I could, but I'd probably get banned off YouTube. But where does it end? I mean, where does it end with these people? You know, I know we've got the regular online trolls on Twitter or X as it's now known, and they seem to just create new accounts when they get banned, and they keep going and keep going. And quite frankly, you know, it's laughable now that grown men can actually act like that and think it's funny. You know, and that's why I don't pay any attention to it anymore. For people that had to go at me and Billy and Alex over the years, you know, we don't care. And it happens on other channels as well. They get abused. But I'm talking about the footballers here and the referees, because if it wasn't for referees, we'd have no damn game. And I listened to, I can't remember whether it was Frank Lampard saying that, you know, no, as a kid, if you don't make it as a footballer, what in your mind thinks, oh yeah, I'll become a referee. I'll become a referee. You know, yeah, that's a good point, LG. It's not grown men. Men say it to your face. Yeah, I mean, I got threatened with getting stabbed at St. James's Park. You know, somebody said they were going to come and slit me throat. You know, outside the Milburn statue where I stand with my mates before a game. Funny enough, he didn't turn up, but there you go. There was somebody from Southampton even sent a message on Twitter a few years back saying they were going to beat me and Susan up. I mean, it's mental. But let's get back to the referees here, because if it wasn't for referees, there'd be no game of football. And as you're growing up, how do we convince these people to become referees? You know, when they see all the abuse that referees are getting, even at, you know, Sunday League level and children's level, we've seen it at all levels of grassroots, and now in the Premier League, where referees are receiving death threats just for refereeing a game of football and giving a red card. Or, yes, referees are criticised a lot. Of course they are, because they're in that position to be criticised. And if they make a bad decision, we will say, oh, the referee was crap, this, and this, just like we say that the players were crap. But when it comes down to referees getting it, I mean, where does it end? I don't know where this game is going anymore, to be honest, because, you know, you look at other sports, and even if they disagree with what the referees are saying, they just get on with the game. And this isn't just recent, because, you know, you go back and you look at Man United when they were in their heyday in the Premier League. There's one clip online where I think a referee gives a penalty, Andy D'Urso, I think it is, at Old Trafford against Middlesbrough. And literally, the whole 11 are screaming at him, looking like they're going to kill him. And then you hear Man United fans say, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong. They did it back then. And, you know, fans are seeing this going on the pitch, and they join in and think it's right to do so. But look, I think we're in very, very choppy waters here, because we have to... you know, football is a game at the end of the day. It's not life or death. And the fact that Michael Oliver's family getting death threats is a disgrace. Grow the fuck up and get on with it. You know what it is? Just grow the fuck up, please. Because you're embarrassing. Whatever you think of referees, if they weren't there, there'd be no sodden game of football. So... referees know that they will be criticised. They will be scrutinised by the fans for every time they blow the sodden whistle. But once that game is done and dusted, and then people have had the say on it, you know, like referee watching all of this, then just move on. Just move on to the next game. But don't be sending death threats and abuse because you know your team, you had a player sent off. Grow up. Jesus Christ. It's embarrassing. And if I thought Newcastle United fans were sending death threats to referees, etc., I would call them out. So it's not just about being a fan of another club. I think it's wrong in every possible way. But, you know, I just wish Michael Oliver all the best and hope he gets over this and is able to continue. But, you know, why would you? Why would you as a referee thinking, I don't need this shit. I don't need this shit in my family either. You know, you just move on and find something else to do. But, you know, it's happening too much lately. It really is. It's happening far too much. But there you go. That is the news show done and dusted for this morning. Don't forget, we're back at 7 o'clock tonight. That is going to be another news show. So we'll pick up on the stories this morning. And then we'll talk about any breaking news this afternoon. And then have a conversation with you guys about transfers and stuff like that. So all in round, it's just going to be a discussion show. You guys seem to enjoy that, where you get involved in the chat as well. And we talk about some points that you guys are making, which is it's really good. So thank you very much for watching. Like I say, we'll see you again at 7 o'clock. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. And of course, please do subscribe if you're new to the channel and like what you see. Where, as you can see, we're over the 35,500 marker now, on our way to 36. So if you are new, please do subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show. And a big thank you, of course, to Mamaroo Records. All your music needs based in the middle of Whitley Bay. If you can't get in to see them, check them out online. That's pinned at the top of the description. But have a fantastic rest of your Monday, guys, and we'll see you back at 7 o'clock. Take care.
Come back and check out some green.